The Dallas Mavericks have a pulse. They destroy the Sacramento Kings and they advance to the final play-in game to determine who's going to get the 8th seed in the West. Yes, it's going to be Mavericks Grizzlies. Winner gets the number 8 seed in the playoffs and they will take on OKC. But this was an impressive win for the Mavericks. Their season is still alive. Anthony Davis came up in such a big way. He led his team with 27 points and 9 rebounds. And the Mavericks, this is a very interesting team. Can they win one more and get into the big dance? Put up a fight against OKC? We're going to talk about this Mavericks team as they head into another playing game and what has stood out to me about them and why there is some optimism and promise with this team. Do me a solid, guys. Drop a like on the video and smash that subscribe button for more. So the Mavs, they won this game comfortably. Final score was 120-106 against the Kings. Nico Harrison, who has a lot of enemies, let's call it for what it is, he did famously say defense wins championships in the aftermath of the Luka Doncic trade. Well, this Mavs defense, it was good. And you look at the Mavericks, they have a very enticing front court trio of rim protectors. And watching these guys go to work, it is a thing of beauty. I'm talking about Anthony Davis, Derek Lively II, and backup Daniel Gafford. They can just adjust so many shots at the rim. They clog up the lane. They absolutely congest that mid-range. And we saw it with Domantas Sabonis struggling as badly as he did. He scored just 11 points on 5 of 13 shooting. He was completely eliminated from this game. And the Mavs, they blocked 8 shots. They had 9 steals. And you look at their next matchup against the Grizzlies. Yeah, the Grizzlies have a lot more size. You're going to have Zach Edey, Jaren Jackson Jr. So they got the height of their own. But the Mavericks, they match up very well. And John Morant, he does a lot of his damage by attacking. Right? He thrives on attacking that paint, and it's going to be clogged up. So I find that matchup upcoming very interesting. I think Dallas wins it. I think they're going to give a ton of problems to the Grizzlies, similarly how they did with the Kings. And if the Grizzlies aren't hitting shots, it could be a long night for them. And you look at this game too, the role players really stepped up for the Mavericks. And without Kyrie, by the way, there was some great news that came out about Kyrie. Mavericks reportedly optimistic that Kyrie could return from his ACL injury by January. So that would be huge. You would get Kyrie in the latter half of next season. But without Kyrie now, Dallas, they're going to need their role players to step up game to game if they want any shot of getting into that playoff matchup against the Thunder and then possibly challenging them. And we saw it in this one. They got that much needed support from their role players. Klay Thompson, he erupted in the second quarter, and he was one of the key contributors from this game. You look at Thompson, he was the second leading scorer for the Mavericks. He had 23 points. Outside of that, PJ Washington, he struggled from 3, but he had a very steady dose of driving to the basket, hit those mid-range jumpers, was able to get to the line. You got to get more of that from PJ Washington. He finished with 17 points and 9 rebounds. But the story of this game, kind of an unsung hero, was Brandon Williams. He was such a spark from off the bench. Scored 17 points on 8 shots, 3 of 4 from 3 in just 18 minutes. He was super efficient. And he also dished out 5 assists, had 1 turnover, and he really had that efficiency from that second unit that this Mavs team is going to need more of. They're going to need all hands on deck. Without Kyrie, it is going to be an uphill battle, even if AD plays as well as he did. Klay is consistent. But there was some things to really look at in this game and feel good if you're a Mavericks fan, that they got a shot to clearly beat the Grizzlies. And then beyond that, you're saying there's a chance once you get in. That's all you need if you're this Mavericks team. You need a chance. OKC is going to be an absolute juggernaut. But if AD plays as dominantly as he did and the Mavs get that consistent supporting cast, there's a chance. And that's all you're asking for right now if you're a Mavericks fan, a fan base that needs something to get their excitement back up. Before I continue on with this video, guys, I do want to quickly shout out BetUS TV for powering today's content. BetUS TV, they got awesome sports content. They're going to have a lot of NBA content, of course, with the NBA playoffs right around the corner. So go check them out. Go follow them on X, YouTube, BetUS TV. Once again, shout out to them for powering today's content. So the Mavericks, they still got a chance. And it does suck because I'm thinking about a Mavericks team right now that had Kyrie, who never got hurt. That, to me, would have been a very, very interesting team. That, to me, would have been a team that wouldn't have found themselves in the spot. They probably would have ranked a little bit higher. But that's a team that would have been super, super interesting to monitor and see what kind of damage they can do in the playoffs. So the Mavericks, like when they play up to their strengths and guys are fitting into their role, there is a lot of optimism with this group. And of course, we're not going to speculate the Kyrie piece. There's no point. He's not going to play in this postseason. But you want to see this team fight. I think you want to see this team give it their all, show you the type of performance they put up against Sacramento going forward. And even if they go into a series against OKC, but they really push OKC to the limit, they don't go down, and let's just say they end up losing that series in 6, like, I think you really feel good about that if you're a Mavs fan, because the next season, you're having Kyrie come into the equation. There's obviously the KD piece, which I'm not going to entertain in this video. But for the Mavericks, it was nice to see him have this type of effort. Like, if they just bowed out and looked terribly and they lost this game, man, things would have just gone from bad to worse. But they look good. This was a sound, convincing win, and I really do think they're going to beat the Grizzlies. I think they match up well. I think they have a strong chance, and they can make things interesting against OKC. I don't think that would be a sweep or even a 5-gamer. I think the Mavs could steal some wins if they get there. So Anthony Davis, by the way, he's undefeated in the play-in. He's got that going for him and this Mavs team going into that final play-in game. He shows up in these play-in games. You got to credit AD. He is a peak performer. He doesn't shy away. So he elevates his game. We all know about Klay Thompson. Clearly not the Klay Thompson of old, but he's another playoff performer who elevates his game. So the key is going to be, can the Mavs get a couple of those role players to be consistent for them? In this one, it was Washington, Williams, and Exum chipped in with 11. If they can get that consistency with AD and Klay playing as well as they did against Sacramento, man, they got a chance. They got a chance. And I think it's going to be fun to watch. So we'll see what happens with this Mavericks team. They have a chance to do the unthinkable of beating the Grizzlies and challenging OKC in a 1 versus A matchup. And that, to me, is the matchup I want to see. With all due respect to the Grizzlies, I think Mavericks, OKC, with AD in the equation, with something to prove, by the way, in the first Mavericks postseason without Luka Doncic, that would be very, very enticing. So we'll see how that one ends, guys. But let me know. Drop a like on the video. How you feeling, Mavs fans, going forward? Smash the subscribe button. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.